Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent architect building the house of your life. It does not use bricks. It does not lay concrete. Your thoughts create your reality because the mind is the workshop of creation, the silent builder behind every visible result in life. Every event, every relationship, every condition you encounter is not random, but magnetized to you through the frequency of your dominant thoughts. This is not poetic sentiment, it is divine law. Thought is spiritual energy. It moves faster than sound or sight, and it impresses itself upon the invisible substance of the universe. That substance, obedient and without resistance, begins to mold itself into the likeness of your thought, just as clay responds to the pressure of the potter's hand. If your thoughts are filled with fear, lack, resentment, or anxiety, then the form your life takes will reflect that internal confusion. But if your thoughts are filled with faith, gratitude, purpose, and peace, then your outer world must begin to mirror those vibrations in form, opportunity, and outcome. The law does not change because you are unaware of it. A person may not believe in the law of gravity, but if they jump from a height, gravity still acts. Similarly, the law of mind that thoughts become things is always active, always creating, always reflecting. What you entertain in your inner world will appear in some form in the outer. The mind is not a passive recorder, it is a projector. Whatever you impress upon it through repetition and belief becomes your life script. A person who believes they are unlucky, unworthy, or destined for failure will see those beliefs play out with precise accuracy, not because the world is cruel, but because the mind is powerful and impartial. It gives you not what you wish for in weakness, but what you believe in with certainty. Thoughts are not fleeting shadows, they are creative commands. Every mental image you hold is a seed planted in the soil of your subconscious. If you nurture it with emotion and belief, it begins to sprout. If you continually dwell on problems, you enlarge them. If you continually speak lack, you attract more of it. But if you train your mind to dwell on solutions, to speak abundance, to expect the best, then you shift the entire atmosphere of your life. The circumstances must rearrange to match the new tone you have set. The world responds not to your desperation but to your vibration, and that vibration is set by thought, consistent, repeated, emotionalized thought. You do not need to force anything into being. You do not need to chase after success or love or peace. You must simply train the inner mechanism of your thought to align with that which you desire. Begin to think like the person who already has what you seek. See yourself as successful, loved, calm, and guided. Refuse to entertain pictures of failure, rejection, or chaos. They are mental poison, and they will bring about bitter fruit. The moment you change the mental movie, you begin to change the ending. You begin to write a new chapter, not through struggle, but through spiritual understanding. You are not powerless, you are a thinker, and thought is the origin of all manifestation. The thoughts you hold most often become the blueprint, and the world around you must take the shape of that design. You cannot think lack and live in wealth. You cannot think failure and walk in victory. What you truly believe, deep in your subconscious, becomes law for you. It begins to operate without your conscious effort. That is why change must begin at the level of thought, not circumstance. Repetition of truth spoken with conviction begins to dissolve old mental patterns. You must become watchful of your inner dialogue, for it is not innocent, it is creative. Each sentence you repeat silently to yourself is a brick in the house you are building. Each mental picture you revisit is a seed dropped into the soil of time. Choose wisely, because the world you live in tomorrow is shaped by the thoughts you are thinking today. Your words are commands to the universe because speech is not simply a form of communication. It is a declaration of belief, intention, and energy that calls forth what is unseen into form. Words are not empty sounds. They are spiritual instruments of creation. What you repeatedly speak, you give power to. The universe does not respond to shallow complaints or careless chatter, but it always responds to the vibration behind your words. When you speak with conviction, whether for good or ill, you set divine law into motion. Just as a general gives orders and expects obedience, your words give instruction to your environment, your circumstances, and your subconscious mind. Whatever you continually declare, you eventually experience. People often underestimate the authority they hold in their tongue. They speak failure, sickness, fear, or lack without realizing they are authorizing these things to enter and remain in their lives. When someone says, "I always get sick, nothing ever works out for me," or "I can't afford that," they are not just expressing frustration, they are sealing their reality with affirmations of defeat. Words create a mold, and the unseen forces of life begin to pour into that mold exactly what has been ordered. If your words are charged with negativity and limitation, then the results will match the energy and tone you have set. You are, in effect, making spiritual contracts every time you speak. The tongue is a pen, and every sentence is a signature. To reverse this, one must first recognize the creative weight that every word carries. Words are living vibrations. The spoken word goes out, impresses the subconscious, travels into the ethers, and returns in the form of results. The law does not discriminate between good or bad. It simply returns what you put into motion. This is why affirmations spoken with faith are so powerful. When you declare, "Everything I need is already on its way," or "Divine order governs my life," you align with spiritual truth, and the universe reorganizes to match that alignment. These are not just hopeful sentences, they are spiritual blueprints. They reshape your subconscious, silence your fears, and make way for the manifestation of the highest good. Silence may be golden, but the spoken word is divine command. You do not beg for what you desire. You speak it, you declare it, you call it in with authority, not desperation. The moment you speak what you want as if it is already done, you bridge the gap between the invisible and the visible. Your words are the key that unlocks the door to the next dimension of your life. Every "I am" you speak defines who you are becoming. When you say, "I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am guided," you are not merely describing, you are instructing. You are stepping into the role of a conscious creator. Careless speech is one of the greatest enemies of success. Many people cancel their own prayers and intentions by contradicting them with their daily speech. They may affirm abundance in the morning, but spend the rest of the day saying, "I can't afford that," or "I'll never get ahead." The universe becomes confused by double-mindedness. It waits for clarity, for consistency, for unwavering command. When your words match your belief and your belief aligns with truth, your results become inevitable. To harness this power, discipline your tongue. Speak only what you want to see. Refuse to give voice to doubt, fear, or defeat. Even in the darkest moments, let your words remain rooted in faith. Declare peace in the face of chaos. Declare healing in the presence of pain. Declare abundance in the midst of need. As you do, you shift the atmosphere. You change your point of attraction. You set the divine machinery into motion, and what you have spoken with faith begins to take shape in the world around you. Visualization forms your future because the images you consistently hold in your mind serve as the spiritual blueprints for what will manifest in your life. The mind, especially the subconscious mind, does not differentiate between reality and vividly imagined experiences. Whatever you visualize with feeling and repetition becomes impressed upon your inner consciousness, and from that impression, life begins to rearrange itself to reflect the vision you have accepted as true. You are not merely daydreaming when you visualize, you are creating. You are calling unseen substance into form, directing energy into motion, and shaping destiny with inner sight. Everything that exists was first a thought, a mental picture held in someone's imagination. A building, a business, a book, a breakthrough. It all began as an invisible image before it became visible matter. In the same way, your future is first created within before it is seen without. If your mind is filled with images of fear, failure, and frustration, then your experiences will reflect those pictures. But if your mind is filled with visions of peace, success, love, and divine order, then life will begin to form itself according to those higher images. The universe is responsive, not resistant. It does not argue or question your vision. It simply receives the signal and begins to unfold it through events, people, and circumstances. When you visualize something clearly and consistently, you are planting seeds into the soil of spiritual law. These seeds, nurtured by belief and emotion, grow in due season into results that match their nature. It is impossible to constantly see yourself as victorious, supported, guided, and blessed, and not have life eventually align with that inner script. The stronger the emotional tone attached to your vision, the faster and more powerfully it takes root. Many people unknowingly visualize what they do not want. They replay scenes of lack, arguments, rejection, or failure over and over in their minds, and then wonder why their life feels heavy and stuck. They are using the creative power of visualization in reverse. The law does not judge the content, it simply reproduces it. That is why conscious visualization is essential. You must deliberately choose the images you entertain and return to them frequently, especially when doubts arise. Visualization becomes even more powerful when combined with affirmation. When you see and speak your desire with conviction, you are engaging both the mind and the spoken word, the two most potent forces of creation. You do not need to know how your vision will come to pass. You only need to know that it will if you remain faithful to it. The details belong to divine intelligence. Your job is to hold the vision, feel it as real, and take inspired action when prompted. The clearer and more vivid your mental picture, the more magnetic it becomes. The more often you dwell on it, the more real it feels. And when your subconscious mind accepts it as truth, it begins to draw people, situations, and ideas that support its realization. Visualization is not fantasy, it is focused faith. It is your ability to shape the unseen into the seen. It bypasses logic and reason and speaks directly to the part of you that is eternal and connected to all power. The moment you close your eyes and see yourself walking in your highest good, you step into alignment with the divine pattern for your life. You are not creating from ego or wishful thinking, but from spiritual understanding. You are acknowledging that what you see within, you can experience without. You are not waiting for evidence, you are producing it. You are not reacting to life, you are directing it. Every time you visualize your desire as already fulfilled, you are saying to the universe, "This is who I am, this is what I accept, and this is what I now receive." Ask ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT. You attract, not chase, because everything in your life responds to the energy you emit, not the effort you exert in desperation. The laws that govern the universe are not moved by struggle, but by alignment. When you chase something from a place of lack, fear, or unworthiness, you push it further away because the vibration you are radiating is one of absence. You are saying, even if unconsciously, "I don't have this." And the law of attraction faithfully mirrors that state of being. The more you run after something, the more you affirm its distance from you. But when you align your thoughts, emotions, and inner state with the thing you desire, you become a magnet for it. To chase is to act from emptiness. It is to believe that the thing you desire is separate from you, and that you must strive and wrestle to obtain it. This mentality is rooted in fear, competition, and survival. It suggests that there is not enough, that blessings are scarce, and that only by fighting harder can you earn what you seek. But divine law does not operate through panic. It operates through peace. The moment you stop chasing and start aligning, you step into the energy of already having, already being, and already receiving. That shift in consciousness is what causes your good to flow toward you without strain. Your desires are not random, they are divine whispers pointing you toward what is already yours on a spiritual level, but you must become a vibrational match to that reality. You cannot wish for love while vibrating in fear of abandonment. You cannot long for abundance while thinking and speaking in poverty. The law is simple and absolute, like attracts like, that which is like unto itself is drawn. Therefore, to attract love, you must embody the frequency of love's self, love, joy, openness, trust. To attract abundance, you must walk, talk, and think as if you are already provided for. You must act from sufficiency, not scarcity. Attraction is not passive, it is powerful, intentional, and conscious. You attract by believing it is already yours, by feeling the joy of it now, by preparing for it as if it is on its way. You create space for your desires by letting go of resistance, releasing doubt, and refusing to entertain the opposite of what you seek. This does not mean you take no action. It means your action flows from inspired alignment, not anxious effort. The energy behind the action is what determines the result. A single action taken in faith is more potent than 100 taken in fear. When you know who you are and what you deserve, you stop chasing approval, success, love, or validation. You recognize that everything you desire is already moving toward you, waiting for you to rise into the frequency of receiving. You become still, not because you are passive, but because you are anchored in truth. You no longer beg, you bless. You no longer force, you allow. You no longer grasp, you give thanks. And the universe, faithful to its nature, delivers to you exactly what you have accepted inwardly. To attract is to trust divine timing. It is to rest in the awareness that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. It is to walk through life with quiet confidence, knowing that your good is seeking you just as much as you are seeking it. It is to become the embodiment of the thing desired, to live in its feeling before it appears in form. You attract not by chasing, but by becoming. You attract not by striving, but by aligning. When you shift your focus from desperate pursuit to inner preparation, the very thing you are chasing will find its way to your door. Fear and faith cannot coexist because they are opposing forces that operate on entirely different frequencies. Fear is the voice of separation, doubt, and limitation, while faith is the voice of unity, certainty, and divine assurance. When fear is present in the mind, it clouds intuition, distorts perception, and invites confusion. Faith, on the other hand, clears the mental atmosphere, strengthens the spirit, and opens the door to miracles. You cannot walk in two directions at once. You cannot hold fear in one hand and expect faith to bless the other. One must be chosen and the other must be released. Fear is belief in the power of the problem. It is a declaration, even if silent, that what you desire is either impossible, unavailable, or unsafe. It focuses on what could go wrong, what might be lost, or what has failed before. Fear imagines danger where there is none and builds barriers that block the flow of good. It tightens the heart and contracts the energy field, making it difficult for anything uplifting or expansive to enter. Even if a blessing tries to find you, fear builds an invisible wall that keeps it out. Fear says, I am alone, I am unsupported, I must do it all by myself. These beliefs create anxiety, hesitation, and scarcity. Faith, however, is belief in the power of the divine. It says, I am guided, I am protected, I am provided for. Faith does not always see the full path, but it takes the next step with confidence, knowing that unseen forces are moving in its favor. Faith does not deny that challenges exist, but it denies them the power to define or destroy. Faith is a quiet, steady conviction that no matter how things appear, good is unfolding. Where fear panics, faith rests. Where fear retreats, faith advances. Where fear sees impossibility, faith sees divine order. The moment you choose faith, fear begins to dissolve. The two cannot occupy the same space because their natures are incompatible. You cannot pray in faith and worry in fear at the same time. You cannot affirm divine abundance while secretly expecting loss. You cannot declare healing while mentally rehearsing symptoms and setbacks. Your inner state must match the truth you seek to manifest. This is why many prayers go unanswered, not because the power is missing, but because the vibration is divided. The heart says yes, but the mind says no. The mouth declares light, but the inner voice still whispers darkness. To live by faith, you must be vigilant about the thoughts you entertain. The world may offer many reasons to fear, but none of them are more powerful than a single act of spiritual certainty. Faith is not naive. It is the highest form of intelligence. It understands that what is seen is temporary, but what is true is eternal. It stands in the storm and says, "Peace, be still." It looks at the empty space and says, "My supply is already on the way." It sees the delay and says, "Divine timing is perfect." This kind of faith is not passive, it is creative. It draws to itself the very outcome it trusts. To eliminate fear, you must replace it, not resist it. Resistance gives fear more power. Replacement removes its foundation. You replace fear by feeding faith through affirmations, prayer, silence, gratitude, and right thinking. Each time you choose to believe in the power of good over the illusion of lack, you strengthen the spiritual muscle that builds your future, Eventually, fear loses its grip, not because the world changed, but because you did. You realize that you are not subject to the chaos around you. You are governed by the truth within you. That truth, when fully accepted, becomes the force that moves mountains, heals wounds, restores what was lost, and makes the impossible possible. Change begins within because your outer world is a reflection of your inner state. Nothing in your external experience can truly shift until the patterns, beliefs, and vibrations you hold within yourself are transformed. People often spend their lives trying to rearrange external conditions, seeking new jobs, relationships, or locations, hoping those changes will bring them peace, success, or happiness. But unless the inner landscape is renewed, the outer changes will be temporary or ineffective. The same frustrations will follow in different forms because the root energy has not been addressed. True transformation is an inside job. The moment you shift your thoughts, your emotions, and your perception, the world around you begins to respond. The world is not fixed and unmoving. It is flexible and impressionable. It bends and reshapes itself according to the frequency you consistently broadcast. If you carry resentment, life will mirror conflict. If you carry gratitude, life will mirror blessings. If you expect the worst will find you. But if you expect the best, and you nourish that expectation with belief, words, and emotional energy, the best must begin to unfold. The law is precise, like attracts like. The only way to attract something new is to become something new in consciousness. Many seek change by controlling others, managing circumstances, or resisting what is. But that is like trying to change the reflection in a mirror by altering the image on the glass instead of changing the object in front of it. The mirror does not lie, it simply reflects. Life works the same way. It faithfully reflects your dominant state of mind, your secret self-talk, and your hidden assumptions. When you change your mental atmosphere, your life must reflect that shift, just as surely as day follows night. Inner change requires honesty. It calls for you to become aware of the stories you've been telling yourself, stories like "I'm not good enough," "nothing ever works out for me," or "I always get hurt." These are not facts, they are beliefs. And beliefs can be changed. You are not bound to your past. You are not imprisoned by your upbringing, your trauma, or your failures. The moment you decide to think a new thought, speak a new word, or visualize a new outcome, you plant the seed of change. And like all seeds, it takes time to grow, but the process has begun. When you make peace with yourself, the world softens around you. When you forgive yourself, others respond with unexpected kindness. When you believe you are worthy, life rises to meet that belief with opportunities and favor. The universe does not need to be pushed. It needs to be aligned with, and alignment is internal. It is a matter of coming into harmony with the truth of who you are, whole, loved, guided, and supported. When you live from this truth, fear fades, struggle decreases, and synchronicities increase. You begin to experience what once felt far away, not because the world changed overnight, but because you did. Spiritual laws do not require effort as much as they require clarity. The clearer you are about your identity and intention, the more direct the path becomes. If you change your self-image from victim to victor, from unloved to lovable, from poor to prosperous, then everything around you begins to mirror that change. People treat you differently. New doors open. Old burdens dissolve. It is not magic. It is spiritual law in motion. Life cannot give you more than you are prepared to receive, and preparation is inner work. It is releasing the old patterns, cleansing the mind of fear, and choosing faith, love, and expectancy instead. You are the source of every breakthrough you seek. The power is not out there, it is already within you, waiting to be activated. The moment you turn inward with intention and begin to shift your thoughts, your feelings, and your vision, the entire direction of your life begins to move with you. You do not wait for the world to catch up. You lead it by changing who you are being. Ask ChatGPT